Well, g'day fishers. I'm excited. Looks like it's going to be another cracking weekend weather-wise. How good is it? Weather's finally come. Good bit of nor'easter, but that's typical summer weather for Port Stephens. Is those early mornings are fantastic, followed by an afternoon sea breeze. It hasn't been too bad. It hasn't been too strong. So looking forward to the weekend. Should be an absolute cracker. I think Sunday is a little bit of northwesterly, southwesterly change, but Saturday looks like an absolute banger. So get out there and get into it. It's going to be good. So on the fishing front, well, inside the bay's fishing extremely well. This week was a little bit harder because of the bigger tides on the full moon, but those tides are going to back off. And certainly it's going to fish pretty good. Those big tides definitely clean that water up, so clearer water pushing inside the bay at the moment. Plenty of whiting around. Sand whiting is starting to really ramp up now. That water's warming up. The back half of the bay is about 20, 21 degrees, and it's only going to get warmer with these warmer days. So it will be the start of that surface luring as well. So definitely for big whiting over the flats, and definitely for a few bream up around those rock walls and oyster racks. So good time of the year to actually get the surface lures out and have a bit of fun, that's for sure. So any of the flats up towards the back of Soldiers Point, Corlette, Taylor's Beach, all those flats through there, you can land base, really good surface fishing on the incoming tide and the start of the outgoing tide. If you don't want to do the surface lure thing, well, we've got some cracking live worms. Throw a live worm in there on some 4-pound leading, you should have some fun on some good whiting, and you'll pick up bream and you'll pick up the odd flatty as well. So definitely worth a shot this weekend on an incoming tide, throwing a few live worms around, or some surface lures, that's for sure. Some flatties still about, some really nice flatties. Spoke to Paul of Fish Port Stephens Estuary Charters. He guided his client onto an 83 centimetre fish on soft plastic this week. So some really nice flatties getting around, that is for sure. So if you're keen on doing that, the bottom half of the bay's been a little bit quiet on the flatties, but definitely the back half of the bay, that Corlette through to Soldiers Point, up Tilligary, North Arm Cove, and even up the entrance of Crewa. Definitely worth fishing, that's for sure, at this point in time. So Jack Hammond's done it again. I saw him throwing around some really nice big swim baits there, getting some nice fish earlier in the week as well. So some good flatties about. A couple of dewies around. I think as those tides get a little bit smaller, I think the dewy fishing will improve. I don't like the big tides, prefer those smaller tides for the dew, but definitely I think over the next week, the mulloway fishing inside the bay will definitely ramp up. In saying that though, be worth a shot on the beaches for a mulloway at the moment, that's for sure. So estuary's fishing really well. Reports of a few kings around. They're scooting around down Nelson Bay Breakwall, also up towards that Dutchies marker as well. So that danger marker there, there's a few kings hanging around that if you're keen to get in connection with those. I know some guys have been throwing some surface stick baits and things at them, but a little live slimy, a little live squid will do the trick, that's for sure. So definitely worth a shot. A few squid turning up around Shoal Bay moorings. I wouldn't say there's a hell of a lot of squid there, but there are a couple there. Like I said, that water's clearing up on those incoming tides. So a few blue swimmers around. I wouldn't say they're sort of, well, they're not thick at the moment, but you can definitely scratch up a feed if you're willing to put your pots in and work them over. I think that 3 to 4 metres sort of depth of water at the moment is best for blue swimmers. A couple of muddies around, but again, I wouldn't say they're full on at this point in time, but they will improve over the next month, just before Christmas, I reckon, that's for sure. So that's the estuary in a wrap up. Now the beaches, like I mentioned before, definitely worth a shot for a mulloway off the beach over the weekend. Tides are looking good, weather's looking good, especially down Berrubi, and then obviously following through down to Lavis Lane area, be worth a shot off the beach. Same with Samurai and those northerly winds. There's some good gutters on Samurai at the moment, so worth a shot. And good old Fingal at Green Hills is worth a shot as well. A couple of whitings starting to turn up on the beaches, so might be worth a shot. The water's still a little bit chilly, it's only about 18 degrees, but definitely worth a go with a live worm on the beach at the moment. The ever reliable salmon and tail, well, they're still about, so if you want to spin the washers, definitely worth a shot on that. The rocks fishing extremely well for drummers still. Need a little bit of white water. I don't think there's too much swell, but Pete's absolute cracking drummer, 56 centimetres, so that's absolute beauty, close to 4 kilos. So there are some good pigs around at the moment. A few luddos off the rocks as well, so if you're keen, Cemetery Point's always good for luderick down that way. And obviously if you want to walk out to the little rock islands there off Berrubi there, you'll catch plenty of luderick. A few bream around in the washes as well. So And of course, you can spin up some Taylor and Salmon and things like that off the headlands at this point in time. Be worth a shot at a king, I reckon. If you want to throw some stick baits, poppers around, might be worth a shot at a king, especially off Fingal there to the right of Barry Park's always good for a king early morning first light. But when the northerly gets up, it gets a little bit too windy in there. But definitely worth a shot for a few kings off the rocks, I reckon, this time of year. Righto, we'll move into the offshore. So the offshore's been fishing really well. Some really big kings around at the moment. You've got to work hard for them, but there are some big kings around in the shallows, that's for sure. I know a couple that were caught last weekend at Broughton. Not big fish around that 8-9 kilo mark, but there are actually some giants lost up there last weekend. So if you're keen on doing that, throw some stick baits around, or you can live bait in the shallows there. You don't need a downrigger. You can just putt around with a couple of live slimies, or if you can get some big live squid, even better. You just got to stop them because they are in shallow water, but give it a crack. Little Island was holding some kings there off that southwestern ledge there. Smaller fish, but they were some kings there during the week as well. A few snapper around with that full moon. The snapper are definitely in the deeper water. That 40 to 50 metres is definitely the go. Spoke to Brad off Pacific Blue Charters. Did some charters during the week and got some really nice snapper, 3-4 kilos in that deeper water, as well as a few trag as well. So, which is interesting because the water's not that warm, but there are some trag about as well. Plenty of bait too, plenty of slimies around the island. So good to see early in the season that there are bait around the island. So bring on Marlin season, won't be too far away. Further wider, spoke to the boys. Curly, they went out to Allmark and fished the shelf. Got some really nice bar cod, mixture of John Dory as well, and they also trolled a few lures and got a short-billed spearfish. So wouldn't say that we're in the middle of a marlin season or anything like that, but it's you can pick away. You might get a bite a day, which is a lot of fuel to run around for a bite, but it's certainly looking a little bit better. There's not too much current, a little bit of a trickle from the north there. Water's holding at about 20.5 to 21 degrees, which for striped marlin is good enough. I just don't think there's numbers of fish there at the moment. Definitely worth a shot. Spoke to Steve Marshall. He fished Allmark, jigged up some really, really nice kings on those new cast jigs, so did really well on the kings up at Allmark. Saturday being the day, I reckon it'd be a good run out to Allmark early. Get up early, get out there and slide home with the nor'easter, that's for sure. Maybe put a couple of lures in. You never know, you might trip over a striped marlin on the way home. Anyway, that's it for this week. Weekend looking good. Next week looks okay. A little bit of southerly, which is not too bad. I don't mind a bit of southerly during the week, but definitely get out there and get amongst it and enjoy this weather.